Well, today everybody, in this video, I want to tell you guys how to write good melodic guitar parts and how I came up with some of the leads for the song Lost in Translation, one of the 3 songs on the Soul Invicto and myself XRC collab that is out now. In case you guys are unfamiliar with what Soul Invicto is, it's Stephen Carpenter of Deftones' second band, as well as Eric Bobo of Cypress Hill and Richie Launders. So shout out to Richie. He really pushed me when writing and creating, because he's like more or less the mastermind behind all this, and certainly the one I've been the most in contact with in terms of like collabing, writing, etc. So yeah, I just want to give a huge shout out to Richie, and I want to tell you what he and I more or less came up with when coming up with my guitar parts. So real quick, this guitar is a 2022 just regular old Gibson Les Paul Custom. I'm using the STL Tonality and a James Suite as my amp sim. I'm using the Earthquaker Devices Gary in front of the amp sim because I want a lot of gain. So yeah, dude, I just want to let you guys know what's going on and how I came up with these parts, okay? Standard tune guitar right here because Steph uses an 8-string. I don't need 8 strings for lead. This is all just plain old E to E, okay? So the main thing that Richie and I were talking about when coming up with all these songs, and this was the first one I worked on, is motifs and themes and repetitive movements on the guitar. That way it's an earworm, it's a hook, it's something that can be recalled by the listener and myself, the creator, to where like it feels like a melodic, you know, vocal point or something like that. Meaning like it's filling the void of having a singer on the track. The instrumental is, you know, doesn't have any lyrics or vocals on it, right? So what can I do as the guitar player to fill that void, okay? So I just want to explain to you guys like some of the parts of the song and just how it goes, okay? So the first motif, and more or less the main motif, goes like this. Really simple, focusing on vibrato and having a ton of gain for pinches. A lot of the leads on this EP are written around the G string because the G string for me is the easiest to grab a pinch harmonic, to make it squeal, to make it sound awesome. So I'm always trying to grab one of those wherever I can. So that's the main hook, but there's also different variations. So that's just a little tag at the end of there. That's just a little tag at the end there of the first main motif. And I'm going to put out a live playthrough. It's probably already out, but I'm going to do it with all these songs. But I wrote this stuff about 7-8 months ago. So this has been under wraps behind the scenes around December 2024. Here it is, July 7th, 2025. So when I wrote all this stuff, it was set in terms of like, okay, I'm going to do this part here, but the nuances and the notes and stuff like that, it was kind of just off of inspiration. And I have a generalized theme, a generalized motif. That's the word of the day. But what I do in between the motifs, I kind of more or less just made up on the spot when recording it. I would try something out. If I liked it, I would keep it. And if not, I would try a different take. So a lot of times when I'm doing the end taglines to wrap up the thought around the motif, I kind of just make it up and kind of just have a generalized idea of where I want to go and what I want to do. But it's not set. It's all just based off of feel and just organic inspiration and spontaneous feeling on the guitar. So here's the next motif. It's very similar to the first one in terms of the pattern. And just like the first motif, this one has different variations as well, different endings, different inspirational ideas. So that 10, 12, 13 idea is very similar to the 3, 5, 6 idea, again, all in the G string. And then that little walk down right there is also another motif where I go. So those are like the three main motifs, and what I'm trying to convey to you guys here, so it's not just me saying, oh, and here's how this next part goes, here's how this other part goes. The point I'm trying to convey to you in this video is I do a bunch of different things in these tracks, but the main idea, the main motif is always fixed, and I'm always just trying to riff off of the motif. I'm trying to wrap up a thought by doing something, again, spontaneous, something that sounds cool, something that feels good, but it's all based around the central themes throughout the entire song. So what I'm trying to convey to you guys is, like, if you're ever trying to come up with any sort of melodic lead part, have a set and or a fixed idea and then just do variations off of it. And that walk down is used all throughout the track as well. So I'm always just trying to stitch together cool ideas and just trying to make something, you know, like I said, something musical, something cool, something tangible. And then what I do in between the motifs and what I do in between to try to weave it all together is totally made up on the spot. Like I said, I wrote this stuff 7-8 months ago. When I was coming up with the fast parts or the cool parts, I had no idea what I was going to do. I just tried to do something quick, fast, cool, a little technical. But then I tried to always find a way to wrap it up and have the motif in mind, either in the beginning of the phrase or at the end of the phrase. So right there, that's just a little minor arpeggio thing that I do. Again, something cool to fill the gap, and then I wrap up the thought with the second motif that I introduced to you guys in this video. See what's happening here? It's like motif, cool guy move, motif, cool guy move, etc. So I want to show you guys the last part of the song here. It's a completely different part from the majority of the song. It kind of changes gears here, but you guessed it, I'm going to use motifs once again to tie everything together. Same kind of common theme. And then I do fast pull-offs and tapping, and then some simple pentatonic licks in there as well. So for redundancy's sake here, I'm going to just wrap it up right here. What I'm trying to convey to you guys, when I wrote this stuff, it's come up with something unique, something cool from a melody standpoint, and then what you do in between those spots is the glue to everything. Because in my opinion, for an instrumental guitar track especially, like, you don't want to just have it be strictly melody. You can, but we're guitar players. Guitar players like to do stuff that's fast and cool and intricate and somewhat technical. So in my opinion, melding the two ideas together, motif versus cool guy move, tapping, pull-offs, fast licks, that's the way to make it interesting, not only from a guitar standpoint, but also for the listener as well. So yeah, everybody, that's the video today. Hope you guys learned something from me today. Hope you guys enjoyed me breaking down Lost in Translation. And yeah, that's a little insight on what I'm trying to do when creating cool, melodic, and technical guitar leads. All right, everybody, love you guys so much. Be sure to check out the music, Loosely Aware. It's out now. With that being said, I'll see you guys later.